Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deeply into one of the most dramatic moments in the recent conflict. The moment when Vladimir Putin realized that the iconic bridge linking Russia to Crimea, the Crimean Bridge, also known as the Kerch Bridge, was seriously compromised and what that meant. To understand why this moment matters so much, we need to look at the bridge itself, its significance, how it came under attack, and how that realization likely unfolded for Putin. This isn't about dramatizing a single instant, but about tracing how strategy, symbolism, and logistics converged to force a leader to face a stark reality. The Crimean Bridge spans roughly 19 kilometers across the Kerch Strait, connecting the Taman Peninsula in Russia with the Kerch Peninsula in Crimea. Built by Russia after its annexation of Crimea in 2014, it was opened in 2018 and touted as a major engineering achievement and a physical symbol of Russia's control over the region. For Putin, the bridge was far more than just infrastructure. It was a trophy, a statement of power, a visible, unbroken link from Russia to what many in Moscow considered a reclaimed territory. From a military and logistics perspective, the bridge was a crucial supply line for Russian forces operating in southern Ukraine and the occupied territories. With the war full scale since February 2022, keeping freight, personnel, reinforcements, and supplies flowing over that bridge was essential. The moment that link was threatened or damaged, it triggered far more than repair bills. It triggered questions of control, narrative, and projection of power. The first major blow came on 8 October 2022. A massive explosion ripped through the road portion of the bridge. Two two-lane vehicular spans collapsed into the water, and the adjoining rail portion was damaged by fire. 5 people died. Russia launched emergency repair efforts and a criminal investigation. The spectacle of the damage alone was a blow to the image of unshakable Russian engineering and security. This event forced Putin to process multiple layers of implications. If this bridge could be hit, what other infrastructure could be targeted? What would this mean for the supply chain to Russian forces? What would this signal to the Russian public and to the broader world? In that moment, the symbolic facade of invulnerability cracked. It marked a turning point in how he would have to approach the bridge and the war overall. On 17 July 2023, another explosion struck the bridge, this time via sea drones, damaging a span of the road deck. 2 civilians were killed and 1 injured. This incident showed that the previous attack was not an isolated event, but part of a continuing threat. For Putin, the realization deepened. The bridge was no longer untouchable, and the narrative of control was now under direct challenge. On 3 June 2025, the Security Service of Ukraine announced that it had used over 1,000 kilograms of explosives to target underwater supports of the bridge, threatening its structural base. This attack demonstrated a new dimension of vulnerability beneath the waterline, outside typical defenses. For Putin, the moment of realization would have been stark. The iconic structure was now contested in ways that required a complete reassessment of its security. The moment Putin realized the bridge was gone is layered. It likely came as he received reports, satellite imagery, and briefings about disrupted traffic and logistics. He would have recognized multiple realities at once. First, the logistics shock. When spans collapse or supports are damaged, vehicles, rail, and supplies cannot pass efficiently. In wartime, every supply line is critical. The bridge being damaged threatens the movement of troops and materials. Second, the symbolic blow. The bridge was a centerpiece of the narrative. Crimea is Russian, the link is safe, Russia's engineering is unmatched. When an adversary strikes it, the narrative fractures. The damage is not only structural but existential for the image of strength and inevitability. Third, the political pressure. Putin depends on credibility both domestically and internationally. A flagship project now damaged raises questions. Why were defenses insufficient? Who's to blame? What will the public think? The repair costs and diversion of resources add to that pressure. Fourth, strategic recalibration. Once the bridge is successfully targeted, it becomes a de facto front line. Resources must be shifted from offensive operations to defense and repair. Alternate routes must be considered. The moment of realization marks the point where Putin must pause or adjust strategy, rather than proceeding with full confidence. Inside the Kremlin, the scenario may have unfolded as follows. Putin is briefed early in the morning. He sees images of collapsed spans, twisted girders in the water, halted traffic, and disrupted supply chains. Intelligence reports link the operation to Ukrainian forces. He recognizes that the bridge is no longer a seamless link, but a vulnerability. That recognition is the moment of realization. In the aftermath, Russian authorities deployed divers to inspect underwater damage and monitor structural integrity. Public statements downplayed the severity, but behind the scenes, the moment of realization remained. The bridge, once a symbol of triumph, was now a strategic liability requiring constant protection. The attacks forced Russia to allocate more resources to bridge defense. Reconnaissance, patrols, underwater inspections, repair budgets, and stricter traffic management. For Putin, that meant shifting focus. What was once an emblem of success became a liability demanding attention. The moment matters beyond the bridge itself. It's a microcosm of the war, the annexation of Crimea, the linking of the territory to Russia's transport grid, wartime logistics, and the symbolic power of connectivity. When the bridge is damaged, the broader narrative of dominance and control is challenged. Putin, realizing this, alters his broader strategy. If this route can be compromised, others might be too. Adversaries and public perception are also affected. For Ukraine, showing that a major link can be attacked signals capability. For Russian forces and citizens, seeing the bridge damaged raises concerns about security and stability. This erosion of confidence is part of the moment of realization. Public relations require quick messaging, denial of major damage, assurances of safety, and promises of repairs. Privately, however, the realization is unavoidable. The assault has exposed a structural vulnerability that requires long-term attention. For Putin, the bridge represented a personal and political achievement. Attacks strike not only at a physical structure, but at his prestige. The moment of realization likely carried the thought, "Our achievement is vulnerable, our claim contested." The psychological weight is significant. The shift is clear. Before the attacks, assumptions of control and invincibility prevailed. After the attacks, vulnerability, reaction, and recalibration dominate. That pivot is what defines the moment of realization. The bridge hasn't literally disappeared, but the assumptions behind it have been upended. In the hours and days following the attacks, priorities changed. Routine maintenance became urgent inspections, underwater security, anti-drone measures, and increased military presence. The cost, financial, logistic, strategic, rose dramatically. For Putin, this moment meant constant attention, diverted resources, and constrained strategic freedom. The cumulative effect of multiple attacks over 2022, 2023, and 2025 forced a deeper realization. Each incident pushed the bridge from an untouchable symbol to a contested liability. By 2025, underwater attacks showed that typical defenses were inadequate. Putin recognized a whole new defense paradigm was required, altering the dynamics of the war. Internal discussions would have included damage assessments, maintaining traffic, repairs, underwater security, and public reassurance. That moment marks the pivot. The narrative must shift from invincibility to response. Strategic ambitions may be scaled back as resources are diverted to defense. Defending a bridge requires aircraft, ships, and funds that might otherwise support offensive operations. Realizing this shift marks a fundamental change in posture. Public messaging downplays the threat, but the private realization is different. Ukraine's claims and operations exposed vulnerabilities, undermining Moscow's narrative. The leader must process the strategic, logistical, political, and symbolic consequences. The bridge's compromise affects the broader war narrative. The Crimean Peninsula was a hub for operations, and the bridge was a hinge. Once that hinge is damaged, the theater of operations shifts. Putin must now factor in risks of future attacks and potential isolation. That awareness constitutes the moment of realization. In essence, the moment Putin realized the Crimean Bridge was gone is a process of accumulated evidence culminating in clear awareness. The infrastructure, symbol, and supply line are vulnerable. Assumptions have changed and action is required. This awareness alters priorities, narratives, strategy, and risk management. Every layer of this event, logistical, symbolic, political, strategic, demonstrates that the bridge is more than steel and concrete. Its damage shifts the dynamics of power, image, and war. For Putin, recognizing this is a pivotal moment. Thank you all for watching. If you found this breakdown useful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Share your thoughts in the comments. When do you think was the exact tipping point for Putin? Are there other infrastructure links that could create a similar moment of realization? I look forward to reading your perspectives. Until next time,